Good news, Xbox Series X and Xbox Series S gamers. Oh my god, those brandings are just a mouthful, aren't they? I hate Microsoft for calling it that. Series X, Series S. It sounds so phonetically similar. It's so hard to say clearly every time I have to say the two in a row. Just current gen Xbox gamers. Hey, you are going to be like a PlayStation 5 gamer soon. Well, kind of. And it's all thanks to one of the USA's biggest chainsaws being really bad at a really simple thing that they should be quite good at by now. Running their own website. Now, since launch, the PS5 has had an industry-standard M.2 slot for expanding its internal storage. Now, Sony are also kind of inept, so it wasn't actually usable at launch. It was just an empty slot you literally couldn't use for anything useful because Sony is stupid, and it was in fact utterly useless for anyone for many months after launch until it was finally unlocked via a firmware update, and then everything was fine from then on in. It actually works really well. And since then, PlayStation 5 users have had a broad choice of SSDs for expanding their storage because it's an industry standard. It's just an M.2 drive. So they've had lots of models and capacities to choose from, which also meant a price-competitive market. I've got a few review videos on some excellent choices linked in the down below if you are a PlayStation gamer and haven't upgraded your storage yet but are starting to feel the pinch now that we're more than a couple of years into the lifespan of the console. Bam! Cross-promotion achieved. Also thumb, bell, sub, comment, blah, blah, blah. I hate YouTube's robot brain. Anyway, Xbox users, hello again. I am Blunty and I bring you glorious news. While you have had a perfectly functioning and performant excellent option to expand your performance since the very first moment you unpacked your Xbox Series X or S on launch day in the form of the officially licensed Seagate storage expansion card for Xbox Series X and S, that was in fact, and to this day remains, the only choice you had. Not really a choice, only option you had. Seagate seems to have signed some kind of exclusive arrangement with Microsoft to provide this non-standard expansion device, and that meant zero competition in the marketplace, and that meant, well, quite frankly, abusive pricing. They're more expensive than they should be, considering internally they are basically an M.2 drive. Not exactly the same, but close enough. Now, though, 29 months since launch day for the Xbox Series, or nearly 2.5 years, in other words, you're finally getting a choice. That retailer I mentioned in the opening, it was Best Buy, and they have just accidentally leaked the existence of a new Western Digital branded Xbox expandable storage card, and it's already listed at a cheaper price than the current Seagate option. While the Best Buy listing still shows up in a Google search, the listing itself has been withdrawn from the website. It went up too early, it was leaked. Oops-a-daisy! Sorry for spoiling that on your WD, says Best Buy. It now shows only an error when you go there, but the URL direct link to the product page still very clearly lists it as WD-WD_black-C50-1TB-expansion-card-4-Xbox-Black. That C50 product name, by the way, makes sense too, as WD already has a couple of SSDs with that branding. The D50, for example, is a Thunderbolt 3 external NVMe drive meant for gaming PCs because it also has a breakout dock on it for Thunderbolt ports, display ports, USB-C and USB-A ports, Ethernet and audio output. It's a pretty cool device. But there is also already some D number branded ones, like the D30, which is just a rebadge of an existing external SSD product WD sold for PC use, but this one is specifically carrying the Xbox licensing. So the D50 being an Xbox-specific product makes perfect sense. Everything seems to line up sensibly here. We have no information about specific launch dates yet, but if Best Buy are already setting up a listing and price for it on their site, we probably aren't all that far away. And with some luck, I'll be able to get one full review for you folks. So, subscribe, stay tuned, etc., do the bell. The WD peeps have always been really easy to work with for me. I've done so many times in the past, so fingers crossed it should be zero problem for me to get a sample unit to test out. But there are several things we can already assume and expect from the WD Black C50 card. It will have pretty much the same performance as the internal storage of the Xbox Series console, because that's one of the big reasons Xbox designed this bespoke interface in the way they did, including making the drive's own connector integrate into the heatsink and cooling design for the Xbox itself. And while the PlayStation 5's M.2 drive bay is part of the cooling, the airflow channel for their cooling, you still have to use an SSD with a built-in heatsink, otherwise the cooling doesn't work properly, and you lose performance on your SSD. There are, however, also third-party heatsinks you can use with non-heatsink SSDs. I've got videos on those too, believe it or not, linked in the down below. But it does mean this WD option, just like the Seagate option, will be leveraging the Xbox Velocity architecture, which will mean it will give you a truly seamless experience when installing, loading, playing, saving, and even quick resume features on your Xbox. My experience with a Seagate expansion card has indeed been truly seamless since day one. You plug it in and you don't even notice it there. The Xbox just gets on with things. I literally can't tell what is installed where unless I actually, check. So I'd expect nothing less from WD's option, of course. I have something like 8, 9 WD drives installed in various devices I can reach from where I'm sitting or while I'm recording this already. Most of those are SSDs, and they've been rock-solid performers for their entire lifespan and continue to be. Don't get me wrong, I'm not a pure WD fan, but I've got lots of Seagate stuff as well, as well as some other brands in the stuff around me too. But I have been using WD for years and 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 years, and they just never let me down. But the point is, finally having a competitive option for Xbox users, it's just long overdue, long overdue. When the Xbox originally launched and the only thing we had was the Seagate thing, I thought, well, maybe it's like a year-long exclusivity. And then a year passed and nothing else, and then 2 years passed and nothing else, and finally we're here. Nearly 2.5 years later. Oh, and yes, just before we go, for those of you out there about to, well, actually me, in the comments section on the weirdo third-party adapter thingy you can get off some of those junky Chinese sites, yes, it exists and has done for a little while now. And I did look into it a while back with plans to make a video or two on it, because it is kind of interesting and quirky and odd and a weird little workaround. But in my research, I found out it is notoriously unreliable, very, very finicky, and only works with exactly one SSD product that's on the market, which is also a bit tricky to get all on its own because it's a hyper-specific thing designed for laptops. And it also happens to be a WD product, by the way. So all of that, if you can get it to work and work reliably, it apparently works. But it is not exactly a friendly product for the average consumer, which is what we're talking about here. It's interesting, but an off-the-shelf option on regular storefronts that anyone can just order online, have delivered, or walk into a bricks and mortar if you still do that. Who shops like that anymore? Hands up. But yeah, you can just go and buy it from a trusted brand. You can plug it in, no fiddling. It just works. Proper console experience. Just to have a second option in the market is a big deal, because that finally means price competitiveness. It also might be an indicator that whatever exclusivity Seagate had is up, and maybe some other third-party SSD brands can get on this as well, meaning even more competition in the marketplace. In any case, just wanted to make this as a heads up to Xbox gamers. It is interesting news. It is hopeful news. Hope is on its way, and it's flying WD's flag. Thanks for watching. I am Blunty. Thank you as always to the patrons scrolling up above there. I am Blunty, and I will catch you next time.